Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's time for some big earnings. How's everyone trading day going so far? Yeah. We're in the newsroom right now. We got earnings after the bell in about 10 minutes. We'll go over the market, see what's going on. Dive in a little bit deeper. We are live here on Twitch, live on YouTube. What's up, Andre? What's up, DJ Robe? And even live in vertical fashion on the Tickety Tockety. Yahoo! So, if you guys watched the market brief last night, we did get beneath that CTA 5100 level. And we did see a flush from that point, sitting about lows of the day. Now, coming into earnings, we do have Amazon, AMD, Supermicro, and many more. The market net flow has been bearish for pretty much the bulk of the trading session. We're going to go ahead and dive into some of these earnings expected moves today of where price can potentially go. Yep. So let's do that. Let's do that right now. We have
S&P closing imbalances are north of 2 billion to the sell side.
About 9 minutes to the close. I'm going to be pulling up these expected moves here for all of these tickers over here. We have Amazon in the top left, AMD, Smci, Sbux, Riot, pins, and we have some more to go over. I'm going to be updating the specific levels live right now as we're coming into the close. We're looking at roughly a $14.80 expected move for Amazon as we're pressing a little bit lower. So I'm going to go ahead and draw these out right now. And they're going to be rough estimates, but they'll be close enough to understand where risk is. So we'll do that for about 10 minutes here. Coming into the closing bell, we have Amazon, $14.82. Quite a large expected move there. AMD, another big one, another big dog over here, $13.70 expected move as it's pressing a little bit lower into the close. And if you're wondering how I'm getting this stuff, I have a YouTube video on how I get the earnings expected move, but I'm looking at another computer screen right now to get that.
Stocks have moved to new lows here towards the close amid that sell side imbalance we're hearing.
Oh.
50-55 in the S&P cash market.
Now, as the market's moving down, there was a key level here. As the market's pressing lower into the closing bell, it was the 50-50 as a zero date level. This has been a target that's been targeted all day long since the early morning trading session. Before even the cash market opened, 50-50 has been a key level here. So as price is pulling into it, that could be one that we should be paying attention to. Okay. Give me 1 second here. One of the key levels in the S&P 500 that we've been talking about that's been here now for over 8 days, 49.60, over almost 2,000 contracts down there. That is via Bookmap we're looking at. Pretty aggressive price action into the close, coming into around that 50-50, okay? Because we have 7 minutes left, I still have to finish this up. So bear with me. All right. Where you at, Thinkorswim? AMD's, SMCI. $123 expected move in SMCI. Okay. 5 minutes to the closing bell. Starbucks is looking at a $5.59 expected move.
Amazon shares coming under pressure with the broader market into the earnings report, now down about 3% on 2.5% on the day.
Man, these markets are really moving fast here. Holy moly. I'm just trying to get these all set up. All right. There's Starbucks. Plus or minus 558 is what the market's pricing in as their expected move. For Riot, we're looking at about $1.08 for its expected move.
Then we've got Amazon earnings 1 minute after the close. Come alongside Caesars, Diamondback Energy, and Skyworks Solutions. The next few minutes we'll get other notable names including Advanced Micro Devices, Chemours, Clorox, Mondelez, Prudential Financial, Starbucks, Supermicro, among others.
Put that there. Pinterest, PINS, expected move is $4.15. Why isn't my drawing tool working? There we go. All right, we're coming into now 2 minutes to the closing bell. Amazon's still seeing some pressure, so I'm going to update Amazon's expected move here coming into the close. We're looking at $14.94 expected move for Amazon. Going to be up here on the top left corner. That'll be good enough for Amazon. That's what they're expecting there. AMD's coming off a little bit since we did this too. I'm just going to move this down slightly and this down slightly too. I'll keep SMCI where it's at. I'll keep Starbucks where it's at. Riot where it's at right here. This is what the market's pricing in as far as expectations go. S&P 500 coming off at the lows of the trading session. You can see that we came through and around that 50-50, so we cracked through that level today. That's been a level that the market's been attacking pretty much for the bulk of the day. So we're seeing some pretty significant sell-side activity. Now, if you didn't watch last night's market brief video, I'd suggest to go watch it because this was the bearish case, getting back under 5,100, getting back below the gamma flip line. When you're below the gamma flip line, you get selling into selling, buying into buying. This is where aggressive stuff takes place. Now, earnings could come out and this can completely reverse on itself, because buying or selling begets selling, buying begets buying. But it could also amplify if we get the guidance that's just not what the market wants to see. Coming into the closing bell here, final minute. Okay. We're still getting more sell side in Amazon here too. So I gotta move these down technically a little bit more. It's just a little bit too quick of a market to keep updating these.
10 seconds to the closing bell. Amazon looking to go out on its lows. Caesar CCR reporting GAAP revenue $2.7 billion with quarter, missing a 2.82 billion consensus. Charlie Zulu Romeo.
All right, here we go. Closing bell. There we are. The guy in the background that you're hearing, that is Trade the News. This is Sbux over here on the bottom left, the one that I'm kind of blocking. Amazon's coming off in the after hours session right now, but nothing yet to be reported. Oh, you guys got to see my new screen here. So the market finished pretty down on the day. How down? Okay, here we go. We got
Amazon's
reporting.
Headline EPS 98 cents a share.
Here we go. It's moving up.
AWS net sales.
Oh, careful here.
Total net sales at 143.3 billion, slightly above the 142.6 consensus estimate. Their guidance is short of estimates, 144 to 149.
Coming down to its
Amazon's
lower earnings expected move right now.
Does come in short of estimates.
Oof.
And net sales were slightly better than expected. AWS net sales, excluding foreign exchange, were up 17% versus a 15% estimate. And again, next quarter sales 144 to 149 compares to 150 plus estimate.
Amazon CEO commenting that the appeal of AWS's AI capabilities is re-accelerating AWS's growth rate, now at $100 billion annual revenue run rate.
I mean, we're flat right now.
WKS $1.55 for earnings. Let's hear Whiskey Kilo Sierra. That beats the 152 consensus revenue in line, guiding lower. Let's hear Whiskey Kilo Sierra.
Here we go. Amazon came down to and around its lower earnings expected move, but so far right now we are up in the aftermarket session.
FANG 2.23 billion in revenue.
192.50 is the earnings expected move here. It looks like we're going to be coming up for it.
429 consensus.
Little shakeout there to begin with.
Firming production guidance for the year.
Amazon deserves its rocket ship. So far, at least. The guy talking in the background, Savage, is the Trade the News. All right, we're waiting on the likes of AMD and Smci. Now, usually a name like this might not affect the market all too much, but because of its market cap, but given the context of how semiconductors, how important they've been,
mixed security
we can get some other names moving here in the aftermarket. SMCI looks like it's pushing forward over here. Now, as these are reporting, we'll get notifications as these are going. Let's take a look quickly in the markets here. You're getting a lot of chop over here. Remember, we are below the gamma flip line. Selling but get selling, buying gets buying. You get some pretty extensive moves. We're also below that 5100, which has been a very important level. And we're back beneath the 5-day moving average over here as well. You can see we contracted for basically the bulk of the day, and we saw a pretty big expansion. Still not quite next to its weekly expected move as it stands right now, but this is what the market's priced in as far as the weekly expectations, and we still have a lot on deck for this market.
Sbux and Mondelez earnings shortly, along with Pinterest.
From an economic standpoint, the calendar, what do we have coming up? Tomorrow's Wednesday, and that's where we get ISM manufacturing, PMI, JOLTS, and the Fed interest rate decision. So it's going to be important to see.
PUX. Misses the 9.1 billion consensus expectation. North American same-store sales are
S&P
down
500's coming off
3%,
again. We'll see what's coming
plus
off.
2%
There's
expected.
Starbucks. Starbucks got hit down to its
Or
lower earnings
Starbucks.
expected move.
EPS at 68 cents, visiting an 80-cent consensus for Starbucks.
Supermicro SMCI
Trying to move this
3.85
up
billion
here.
in revenue misses the 4.08 consensus estimate. Earnings were well ahead at 665 per share. Supermicro Charlie India.
Needs legislation
SMCI.
taking strategic action to simplify their portfolio and operating footprint, reducing complexity and strengthening balance sheet. Hotel Alpha India November.
Supermicro is raising the revenue outlook to 14.3 to 14.7. Now sees 14.7 to 15.1 billion versus the 14.7 billion consensus estimate.
There goes Pinterest. Pinterest is hitting up to its upper earnings expected move right now.
Adjusted
Nice
EPS
move in
was
Pinterest.
95 cents, beats the 88-cent estimate. Michael Delta Lima Zulu.
Pinterest has tagged its upper earnings expected move
Pinterest
already.
20 cents for earnings is the 6 cent beat of expectations, 740 million, beating the 700 million expectation for revenue. Pop India November's here.
Pinterest is flying. Go to
Pinterest
Lemonade.
guiding at 835 to 850 million versus the 832 consensus.
Nice move on Pinterest. Starbucks is the only one right now from our screens that is getting clipped. Oh, Starbucks. Oh, Starbies. Starbucks is in a pineapple under the sea. Starbucks over here is sinking like SpongeBob down to the ocean floor. SMCI is rocket shipping. SMCI holding up rather well. Still has not tagged its upper and or lower earnings expected move as it stands right now, though. And that goes the same with Amazon. It did come down to its lower earnings expected move. Now it's kind of just stagnating here. Up slightly in the aftermarket session here. About 4%. AMD, still waiting on AMD, Omar. AMD is right here. We're looking at a expected move. Of $13.42. We not got, yeah, we got SMCI's earnings. They came out, so we're still waiting here on to see if there's a move. But right now, it's kind of just stagnant.
CWEN Clearway Energy, they're affirming their outlook and announcing a CEO transition. Charlie Whiskey Echo November.
SMCI looks like it's close to flat. Lemonade slightly up in the aftermarket session. Pinterest is the one that's just absolutely just screaming right now. 2 standard deviation move in Pinterest. Ahoy! AMD is going to be the next big one here. AMD's right here.
On HURN, 95 cents for earnings, a 7 cent beat. Evan also beating substantially. Hotel Uniform, Romeo November.
No, I see you, Junie. Hamilton. What's going on, MK? Sammy?
It's on a USNA, 220
I see you over there
million
on TikTok.
revenues, down 8% year over year. Uniform Sierra November Alpha.
All right. SMCI slightly flat to down in the aftermarket trading session.
Sunoco
Amazon's up
products,
here slightly
$1.12
still.
adjusted, a 4-cent beat. Revenue missed at 1.64 billion. Sierra Oscar November.
Clorox CLX. Reporting revenue 1.81 billion, missed the 1.88 billion consensus. Charlie Lee X-ray.
Not really too worried about next. Pinterest, man. What a move in Pinterest.
Clorox gross margins up 40 basis points at 42.2% year over year.
SMCI slightly
Driven
down
by
here.
benefit of pricing and cost savings.
Still a wide open earnings expected move.
Adjusted earnings at $1.71, beating a 133 consensus for Clorox. Some mixed results.
Starbucks continues to fall outside of its earnings expected move. Definitely a pineapple under the sea right now. SMCI now is falling in the aftermarket session after reporting on earnings. We are getting some more overhead price action over here at 50.81 if we look at the book map. This is could be just stink bids over here. Doesn't really mean much. They can get pulled very quickly. The big level to watch here is beneath us, and that is about 49.50, slightly above almost 2,000 contracts, what we talked about in last night's stock market brief that almost nobody watched. So thank you for that. I wish you did watch it. You would have known. 5,100, we're still well below those levels. Cracked outside of 50.50. The pineapple under the sea. This is a pineapple under the sea type of move. Moonraker told me to make a pineapple under the sea. When we're bad, when we don't have a rocket ship, we're stuck under the sea like SpongeBob.
Clorox there
We're underwater.
Guidance for the year, affirming revenue guidance.
We're underwater,
Charlie Lee
people.
X-ray.
But it's okay. The rocket ship's being worked on right now. Starbucks is underwater. You watch it. Thanks,
Amazon,
Scott.
Adjusted free cash flow.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Katie.
There
we go. We have people that watch it.
Versus a negative reading.
Still waiting on
AMD.
AMD. AMD can change it all for us right here. Maybe we get into a rocket ship, but right now we're just... Right now we're under the sea, people. Pinterest is the rocket. Blip, 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 blip. Come on, AMD. Is Riot tomorrow earnings? Why am I seeing that Riot is today? I'm getting, did I read this wrong? No, Riot's supposed to be after the close on today. I don't know, maybe they changed or maybe they moved it perhaps? Maybe that's what happened. If that's the case. Or maybe Earnings Whisper was wrong. Maybe they were wrong. Sometimes they change. Hey Corey, thanks for subscribing to the YouTube channel. Benjamin, thanks for subscribing to the channel. Just hanging out in a pineapple under the sea, people. We're waiting for AMD. SMCI is just banging around right now. Not doing much. PSA after the bell as well. Man, what a rip in pins. Pinterest. Crazy. Amazon's doing all right now, but we still have not tagged one of the expected moves yet, which is fine. It's trading within it. I think the market's really just on its heels right now for AMD. AMD is going to be this box right up here, okay? Oh man, there comes earnings for AMD.
AMD reporting adjusted EPS of 62 cents a share, a 2-cent beat, 5.5 billion in revenue versus the 5.4 consensus estimate, so a slight beat on the top and bottom line for AMD. Operating margin 21% in line with expectations for AMD. Guiding second quarter revenue 5.7 billion versus the 5.63 billion estimate.
Currently sitting, it's moving around. Maybe it's pulling an Amazon right here. Maybe we're gonna rip right back. We'll see. I'm watching for one of these expected moves to get tagged. Hey, thanks. Oh, hey, what's up, Blake? Yep, AMD's pulling down SMCI right here. Sbux is still sinking off in the aftermarket session here too as well. We got Amazon over here. We got AMD right here. Still not like it's literally almost darn near almost flat on the trading session right here, or aftermarket. SMCI slightly down here, AMD slightly down here. Let's take a look into the S&P 500. Not much of a reaction. Not bad, but not incredible. Yeah. Lauren Drillo, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I got Lols subscribed to the channel. And we had Corey and Benjamin also subscribe to the channel. We do a market brief, so we go over things in more details. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. You'll get notifications when we go live. And then we'll also go in our market briefs. We go into depth on key levels. Yesterday, the critical level that we were discussing, AMD's sinking off a little bit more here in the aftermarket session. As far as a reaction goes, it looks like it's going to be coming down into its lower earnings expected move so far. The pineapple means we're under the sea right now. We're underwater. Not much, Blake. Missed you over at the house the other day. Pins is the rocket, that's for sure.
PCG.
Sbux getting hammered. Yep.
Report that they are looking to spin off of power assets, looking to sell 49.9% of it to KKR.
Falling a little bit deeper here in the aftermarket session there in the S&P 500. Well outside of 50-50. They were targeting this, and now we're well below it. Now, this level, I'm going to go over it now. This level over here on ES, this 49.62, 49.65-ish, 49.50 level, because you have 600 contracts there too.
45 for earnings, hitting the 137 consensus from via share call revenue.
Amazon's coming off a little bit here too right now. The reason why that level is so important, let me bring up Thinkorswim. We're going to go over some of these key levels, kind of have a live market brief show. Why not, shall we? Because I might not be able to put out a video today. That ES level that we just discussed, all right, you see this? This is the futures. This is the level that these were the levels that we were discussing yesterday. Why is there so many indicators on my dang chart? Get this out of here. I don't want you. I don't want you. Get out. Get out. Those big levels that we identified on Bookmap, right? Those hidden levels are all down here, and they've been here for 8 or so trading days. So when we have orders that are standing there for so long and they're that size, right? It's a big player, and you got to pay attention. If they're willing to just stay there, chances are the market's going to move to where buyers are going to be. And if there's no buyers here, no buyers there, they're going to keep driving price, right? Supply is outweighing demand and price comes down. We don't know for sure if the orders are going to get pulled or if they're going to get filled. But as you can see, price got hung up right over here. If you look at the SPX chart, right? They got hung up right here in the area that we identified on not last brief, but on the prior brief. And now we're getting a little bit of sell side here. Doesn't mean we're down and out, okay? It doesn't mean we're down and out. It means that we're just getting continuation from this as it stands right now. But we could be putting in a higher low. We could be just coming in to test this prior low.
Oscar India.
A lot can still happen right now. SMCI is still holding up rather well here. Just, it's not even, it's like hardly down. It's about down 1% or so. AMD is the one that got hit a little bit. It went down to as low as about 6%. The after reporting earnings is sitting around down 3%. And then Amazon's up slightly, holding itself together, but nothing out of this world. Tomorrow we got a lot of data coming out. So the data that's going to be interesting, I'd like to pull this a little bit into the close here, but come tomorrow, we're looking at a $44 expected move in the SPX. Okay, so $44 move in the SPX. You know, if we come up to the upper daily, say if we just stay within 1 standard deviation, we can come right back up into here. We can be right down here. So tomorrow's expected move, why did I just delete that, is roughly like this. Pretty large expected move, okay? Coming into tomorrow's trading session. Now, I want you to pay attention. What are the assets? I'm still in a pineapple. I totally forgot that I was still in a pineapple. I guess it makes sense to be in the pineapple still. I'd prefer being in a rocket ship right now. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen, all right, over here on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the 10-year yield up and the dollar up, and what do you see? Everything else is down. Okay, this is what we've been calling out every trading session almost. All right, and then you look at week to date and look what's up. The dollar, the 10-year yield. Look at month to date, the dollar, the 10-year yield. Yeah, there's some other ones, but look at the other assets. Gold, copper, silver. So if we get strength in these two assets, it puts pressure on the market. And look at the dollar today. The dollar has been consolidating in this bullish kind of context, and now it's started to see a little bit of a breakout here. Pretty large range candle, but are we going to see continuation in the dollar here? And if so, is this the start of some more significant sell side in the S&P 500? And then the 10-year yield, I mean, we're a day or two separated from its high for 2024. Okay? Now, I don't know if the 10-year yield has much more gas in the tank or where it can potentially land, but I think it's a not commonplace, but I think it's a more possible, right, to tag 5%. Going way above that, I don't think it's going to happen. But just because I think something doesn't mean that it can't happen. All right? I don't even know if it's going to get back to 5%, but as it stands right now, we've been seeing a bunch of higher lows. We've been seeing consolidation. And once again, another strong day there. What will change the dollar and the yields is going to be coming into tomorrow's trading session. Tomorrow's trading session is going to be very, 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 very important because we're going to see the Fed interest rate decision, which they're pricing in. They're going to keep rates where they're at. There's no dot plot. So it's going to be, everyone's going to be hanging on every single word that Jerome Powell what he has to say. And we're going to be hanging on those words. And if he gives us any insight to a future rate cut or no rate cuts, that right there is where the market can start to get very, very choppy. So we're going to have to pay attention to his press conference and then also the press release. Okay, but there's a 96% probability that we're going to keep rates where they are in May. We have a 90% probability in June. You know, almost an 80% probability in July. September now, they're pricing that out. They're saying rates higher for longer. They're saying the first rate cut right now, as of now, they have one rate cut, and that's pricing into December. So if Jerome Powell comes out and puts the kibosh to this, well, guess what? They're probably going to say, hey, there's no rate cut this year. Because of what? Because of what's been happening in inflation. And that goes back to here, right? We see copper rising, right? We see the 10-year yield rising. Well, we see the dollar going up. We've been seeing oil rise. Oil took a little bit of a hit today, I think. Yeah, oil keeps on hitting this trend line and going down, which is an inflationary asset here too as well. And now this to me actually seems like an opportunity because oil was down. It typically has a high correlated positive correlation to the 10-year yield. So if the 10-year yield is going to rise or hold where it's at, that could be a turnaround point for oil, which also means like energy names, right? If we're breaking it down even further, other correlations, energy names got absolutely cracked today, down 2.98%. A huge hit. So, you know, when I see something like this and I see, you know, well, yields were up, Oil was slightly down with yields up. Could this mean that we're going to see a little inside trading day or push back up in the near future? I think that's possible. Yeah, Starbucks is outside of its earnings expected move right now. We might get some more moves on the conference calls. Amazon is up 2%. Kyle shared the live. Hey, thanks Kyle for sharing the live stream. Yeah, if you're watching it out on TikTok, make sure to you can share the stream. It helps out, expands to some more people. Yep, pins is the rocket ship. I'm taking over a look here. Let's see here. My puts for Starbucks. Puts for Starbucks printing. Nice, nice. Supermicro is basically, SMCI is basically at a standstill here. So let's take a look back at S&P 500. I think it's all settling down now. We're all getting the digestion. I would say be aware when we start to get these earnings calls. I'm not going to stick around for that. But in negative gamma territory, these are the things that happen. Selling begets selling, buying begets buying, so we can see some monster moves. When we're underneath the gamma flip line, I throw caution out there significantly, right? And when we're below a 5-day moving average, let me remove this. I was noticing price action tighten up here. Let's see where we're at now. Yeah, we're almost in the aftermarket session. We almost tagged into the lower weekly expected move. All right, so let's update the daily expected moves for S&P 500 then. Since we're here, we'll go over to the SPY. They have $4.51 expected move. Holy macaronis. $4.51. Okay. Today we hit roughly like a 2 standard deviation move, maybe even a little bit outside of it. Don't have the numbers in front of me. Oops. Okay, let me see here. All right, so pretty large expected move going into tomorrow's trading session. This was the end of month, so if you're in the Discord, keep an eye out. I'll probably post it tomorrow morning. The new monthly expected moves. Now, why the monthly expected moves? Because it gives us an idea as far as what risk goes into the following month. See this right here? This level, this 507.06, that was given to us on the close of business last month. And we came right into this level. We actually got outside of it and we started looking for potential bounces back into it. We closed outside of the monthly expected move on today's volatility, but very, very close price action right into and around that level. So tomorrow's daily expected move for the S&P 500, 506.55 to the upside, 497.53 to the downside. We're back below a couple of things. We're below the 5-day moving average. The longer we stay there, the more likely it is to turn around. And then we're also below the swing low anchored VWAP. And as you can see, when we came down, we retagged it and saw some more momentum there to the downside. So keep an eye on those levels coming into tomorrow's trading session. Let's revisit here. S&P 500 selling off a little bit here, which means that we're probably getting a little bit of price action to the downside in some of these names. Not much. Pins is still holding up rather well. Somebody had mentioned, take a look at Canopy Growth. Canopy Growth, yeah. So for those that don't know, yeah, up 74%. Wow, yeah, these things started really, really cranking out, moving. I traded this intraday here. We had an alert from Trade the News about the DEA. I think it was the DEA, and we get it right away. Yeah, at 10:09, DA is moving to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous category of drugs. So as soon as that hit the tape, the first inclination is to check out ACB, CGC, MSOS,
that's also a beat.
MJ.
Adjusted EBIT 193 million, as down from 304 in the year ago period.
Just monster moves there. Yeah, look at
PepsiCo raising its dividend 7% to 135.5 cents a share.
Huge move there.
Pop Echo Papa.
Nice big breakout in ACP. This was on the tight list, not last week, but the week. Actually, it was on probably this week too. Big breakout right there for some cannabis names. These have been things that have been on our radar for a while, actually, because of the context of all these moving averages, how they were kind of starting to turn back up again. We were looking at MSOS and MJ. So careful chasing this type of stuff. Right, but now if we start getting some consolidations, they can reset up for some good plays. AMD's coming off a little bit here, so expected move for the Qs. Tomorrow, $5.34.
Yeah, crude futures still down about 1.3%.
And that's going off the close. So for example, be like this, right? Roughly. Right down to around here, and or that would be the implied move there. Okay, so roughly up to 40, 429.8. We'll call it 430. We'll just round up, and down here to about 419. Okay, that would be the expected move. Remember, if you're thinking of in terms of a distribution curve, right, 68% of the time, that'd be the one standard deviation. Today we broke through that. Let me see here what the expected move was for the SPY. The lower expected was 504.28. So if I go to SPY, 504.28 was right here. So we cracked outside of a 2 standard deviation move. That was a lot of volatility. Pretty rare to happen. When you close outside of that, it's even more rare, right? 95% of the time, if you think of it in terms of, standard probabilities, that would be a 2 standard deviation move. 95% of the time, you'll close within, that level and under this level. 95% of the time. So we close outside of that. Almost could have been potentially a 3 standard deviation move. Let me see what a 369, almost $9, a little bit under. Yeah, about a 3 standard deviation move there in the S&P 500. So that probably shook people, right? Down 1.58% on the trading session. It's a big move. It's a big move. It's a pineapple under the sea type of move, people. No one's ever told me that I sound like Andrew Santino. I'm not too sure who that is. I'd have to look it up. Maybe I do know. I just don't, not off the top of my head. Yeah, Moonraker, yeah. Under the 3 Sigma after hours. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Good call. Let's see here. Yeah, Bitcoin got pretty cracked. I was actually paying attention to Baito today, intraday. Let's see where that ended up. But yeah, this one cracked. So I saw a nice little wedge here taking place with a positive divergence. Unfortunately, it didn't really break out, so it cracked down lower. So it contracted, price contracted underneath the declining 5-day moving average. So the ideal direction is still down, but sometimes you get these positive signs where you can get little pops. Not this time. It cracked down to the downside. Doesn't mean it can't reverse, but now you have to kind of wait for it to reset up there. So if I look at the daily time frame, this is following through for those that do watch the Sailor to Shift tool, right? Let me just clear some of this off. Our Sailor to Shift tool had a sell signal and a sell trigger. Let's pull up that chart. We'll give you the update here, and I'm gonna probably call it. Yeah, I appreciate that, Omar. How rare is a 3 Sigma move? It's pretty darn rare. It's very rare. Just think of it in terms of, as far as like probabilities go. To get outside of a 3 standard deviation move. So price action, here, I'll pull up, I'll show you. Give me a second here. Let me pull up some old stuff. And then I'm going to pull up the Sailor Shift tool and I'll show you. Okay, there's that. There's a Sailor Shift tool, but let me show you the distribution stuff. This is just in terms of like, we're thinking in terms of probabilities here. Let me see if that does it. No, that didn't do it. See if that does it. There we go. Okay, so this is a distribution curve, right? So 1 standard deviation right here at 68% of the time. 2 standard deviation, we're going to close within that 95% of the time. So if we close outside of a 3 standard deviation move, I mean, keep in mind, it's a very rare occurrence, right? Because 99.7% of the time, we're going to be within a 3 standard 3 sigma move, right? 99.7% of the time. So you could dang near bet that if we get outside of it by a large margin, we can come snapping back. Same thing goes with the 2 standard deviation move. So you got to understand right here, we're 95.5% of the time we close within 2 standard deviation moves. Today, we close outside of it and we got even under the 3 standard deviation move in the aftermarket session. Here's the Sailor to Shift tool right now. I don't know if gold is updated yet, but you can see we had the sell signal over here. That was a few weeks prior back, and then the following week or so we had the trigger, and we've been selling off ever since. Okay, now this is a tool that I use to identify potential changes in the trend of the price of Bitcoin. You can see the last, or one of the last buy signals right here led all the way up. We had a whipsaw sell signal right back to a buy signal, buy trigger, boom, and then I haven't drew in the signal yet, but it was right here. That was the sell signal that week, and we've been kind of following through to the downside so far. So if this starts turning back up, and we start to get a buy signal, buy trigger, I'll be ready to make those moves. In the interim, right? If you see little setups like we saw over here, it says set up for potential pops, right? Little potential bullish divergences, little pops to the upside, but just keep in mind you're going against a bigger trend in the shorter term. Okay. All right, so Sbux continues to sell off. I mean, Sbux, I'd be looking at potentially even a 2 standard deviation move at this point here. Why do I have MSOS up? So Pinterest, let's see if Pinterest is still holding up. Pinterest is holding up still really well. Lmnd looks like it saw a little bit of a pop. I don't know if it reported earnings yet. And then Riot, somebody had mentioned that they said that it's earnings tomorrow, so perhaps maybe it was changed or something occurred. I know that on my end, I saw it for today. Sometimes, like I said, they do change, but yeah, Riot was supposed to be Tuesday after the close, so it might be moving to the open. That's fine. So just keep an eye on that. Root was another one. Let's see if that reported. Oh no, maybe it's coming off. Maybe it is going still. I don't know. Let's say Root. Yeah, Root reported after the bell. I don't know what their expected move was. I'll pull that up really quick. Root was looking at roughly I mean, it's not the most liquid here as far as the options chains goes, but $22 expected move. So Root is up in the aftermarket session, but still no tag of its expected move. So overall, I mean, so the last big earnings week was with Google, and Google blew through it. Huge move in Google. I believe it was almost 3 standard deviations there. This earnings, nothing really. I mean, this day was nothing. Now we do have Apple on Thursday after the close. We have some other, decent names, but Apple would be obviously the bigger one to be paying attention to. So coming into Thursday, we'll have to pay attention to what the expected move is there. I can tell you what it is at this moment. Look at Apple. Even this was nice consolidation. These things all broke down today. Just huge move. What did Tesla end up doing? To go to Tesla, we have to look at Tesla through the lens of a Cybertruck. Yeah. Tesla's actually still holding up rather well over here, actually, so far. We'll see what it's doing in the... Yeah, Tesla's holding up rather fine. Above the rising 5-day moving average. It's consolidating still. It looked decent intraday, but just too much volatility, too much price action, just too much flow to the downside. If we look at market net flow, what was that telling us all day? Pretty much it's been red line above the green line. They've been diverging, right? And then you've had convergence in and out throughout the entire day. And the white line is the SPY. And when we get those red, you get more sell side. Boom, 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 more sell side. Okay. Yeah, I'm watching the futures right now, Slman. Yeah. Getting some follow through here to the downside. There's ES. The bigger level on ES that we're paying attention to down here, 49.65, 49.60, about 100 handles away, which would be a retest of the lows right here. If that were to happen. We're going to need a bigger curve. All right. I'm glad, Rip. Shopify, is it in buyout talks? It might be. Why are we seeing some moves in Shopify right now? Kind of just sideways. I mean, we'd have earnings around the corner here too. Yeah. So overall, people, just to kind of recap today, we just went over the earnings, the implied moves, nothing too absurd, nothing too crazy. We had some pretty decent price action in Pinterest and Starbucks getting outside of their expected moves. Now, keep in mind, as far as the liquidity goes, big ones we were paying attention to was Amazon and AMD. AMD being slightly down, Amazon slightly up. So nothing really there. So when the earnings call comes out, maybe this creates more momentum. So be aware when earnings happen, or the earnings call, which is in a while from now, I'm not going to be here for that. That could spark a rally up, or it can spark a rally down. But nevertheless, I'm thinking that we're tagging one of these expected moves. So keep that in mind. Once again, Amazon is up here at 192.50, 192.5, and then 162.5 beneath us. So screenshot it if you want to. AMD about 146 below, 172 above, and then SMCI 740 and then 980. So we'll see here if they give us more information that really propels a movement into one of these expected moves. It's very commonplace to hit these expected moves, very common, and we have not done that in these two big names. So I personally believe that we'll probably end up hitting one of these, which can cause some more movements here. Aftermarket, okay? Well, that's all I got for you on today's episode, everybody. Hope it helped out. Hope you enjoy these. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Help the channel out by doing that. If you want to support it even further, you can always come into the Discord group. It's $9 a month. It's through Patreon, but I don't post on Patreon, so you have to sync your Discord up. $9 a month, or you pay for the year. And we give all types of stuff there. It's not a trade alert, so that's not what we do, but we give, I'll give my watch list, my tight list, which is a bunch of stocks that are contracting, getting set up. There's a query channel for all of the tradie tick spots. Pretty sweet stuff. Pretty sweet stuff. All right, I'll see you, Scott. See you, TC. See you, DER, Dura. See you, Sweet. Thanks, Polar, for being here. Thanks, Donkey Donk. Thanks, Rip. B Alpha. Thanks for joining over here on the TikTok side. Palm Tree, see you later. Andre, see you later. Moonraker, see you later. FT, see you later. LA to Mex, see you later. Savage Trading, see you later. See you, Johnny, see you, 69 Conquer. Dijan, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Amazon, we're getting asked about Amazon right now. Amazon's kind of just floating right around here. So not much going on in Amazon land. Remember, we have the earnings call Like I said, I still expect these to tag, okay? I would expect something to tag here. SMCI coming off a little bit here more. Okay, that's it. See you later. Katie, see ya. Gia. Later. Thanks, Lanex. Thanks, Steve. Hadrian, sorry, we'll have to pull that up another live stream. VKTX is what he's asking about. That was one that's been on the radar for a while. Love set match. See ya.